Have you ever sent a text message and watched those three little dots appear and then disappear? And in that silent space, that digital void, your mind doesn't just wait patiently. No, it builds a whole universe of catastrophe. They're mad. They've met someone else. They've realized they never liked you in the first place. That gut-wrenching, stomach-in-your-throat feeling isn't just impatience. It's a primal fear, a deeply human terror of being left behind, of being abandoned. And here's the cruel, twisted paradox that sits at the heart of this fear. The very things we do to prevent people from leaving us are often the exact things that push them away. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy written in anxiety, a desperate attempt to hold on so tightly that we suffocate the very connection we're trying to save. This fear doesn't just look one way. It wears different masks. It uses different strategies, all aimed at one goal: don't leave me. Let's talk about the first, and perhaps the most common of these patterns, the reassurance seeker. You know this person. You might even be this person. They live on a diet of validation. Their conversations are sprinkled with questions like, "Are we okay?" Or, "You seem quiet. Is it something I did?" Or the classic, "Do you still love me?" after a perfectly normal day. On the surface, it looks like a desire for connection. But if you look deeper, it's not about connection. It's about anxiety management. Each "yes, we're okay" is like a temporary patch on a leaky tire. It holds for a little while, but the underlying puncture is still there, and soon enough, the air starts hissing out again. The psychological engine driving this is a profound lack of object constancy. That's a fancy term for a simple, powerful concept: the ability to believe that a relationship is stable and loving even when the other person isn't actively showing you affection. For the reassurance seeker, out of sight truly is out of mind, or rather, out of love. If their partner isn't texting, smiling, or actively engaging, their brain doesn't default to, "Oh, they must be busy." It defaults to, "The connection is broken, and I am being abandoned right now." Think about a friend who goes to a party without you. For most people, it's just a normal Tuesday. For the reassurance seeker, it's a 5-alarm fire. They might text relentlessly, not out of malice, but out of a desperate need to hear the siren of their anxiety turn off. They need a ping back, a digital sign of life, to prove the bond still exists. The tragic irony is that this constant need for reassurance can become exhausting for their partner, who feels like they're perpetually on trial, having to prove their love and commitment over and over again, until they finally start to wonder if the effort is worth it. Now, let's look at a different strategy, one that seems much more powerful on the surface, but comes from the exact same place of fear. This is the controller. This isn't your classic power-hungry villain. This is a person who tries to manage their partner's life as a way of managing their own terror. They might question who you're texting. They might have an opinion on which friends you should see. They might want a minute-by-minute itinerary of your night out. From the outside, it looks like jealousy or a lack of trust. But psychologically, it's a desperate attempt to eliminate uncertainty. Abandonment, at its core, is the ultimate uncertainty. It's the rug being pulled out from under you. So, the controller tries to nail the rug to the floor by managing their partner's time, friendships, and activities. They are trying to create a closed system, a predictable environment where no surprises can happen. If they know where you are, who you're with, and when you'll be back, then there are fewer variables that could lead to you being stolen or deciding to leave. It's not about domination, It's about disaster prevention. Imagine someone whose partner is going on a weekend trip with friends. The controller won't just say, "Have fun." They'll ask for the hotel address, the names of everyone going, and a schedule of activities. They'll insist on multiple check-in calls. This isn't because they suspect an affair, necessarily. It's because the unstructured, unobserved time feels like a black hole where the relationship could simply vanish. Their control is a flimsy shield against the terrifying possibility that their partner could have a great time without them and realize they don't need them anymore. This constant monitoring, this subtle chipping away at autonomy, makes the other person feel caged. And what do people in cages want most? To get out. The very behavior meant to lock the person in ends up providing them with the motivation to find the key. Then there's the third pattern, which seems like the opposite of the first two, but is secretly their sibling. This is the preemptive striker. While the reassurance seeker begs you not to go and the controller builds a fence to keep you in, the preemptive striker simply leaves first. They are the ones who end a relationship at the first hint of trouble. A minor disagreement, a moment of doubt, a perceived shift in energy. For them, this is not a problem to be solved. It is a warning sign of impending doom. And they have a simple, brutal philosophy. I will leave you before you can leave me. This is a profound act of control disguised as indifference. By initiating the breakup, they get to be the one holding the power. They choose the time, the place, and the reason. They trade the unpredictable, agonizing pain of being left for the predictable, controlled pain of being the one who leaves. It's choosing to jump from a building rather than waiting to be pushed. The outcome might be the same, but for a moment, they feel like the one in charge of their own destiny. Their emotional logic is that the certainty of loneliness is better than the anxiety of potential rejection. You see this in dating all the time. Someone has a few great dates, everything seems to be going perfectly, and then after one small, awkward moment, maybe a joke that didn't land or a disagreement over a movie, they send the, "I don't think this is going to work out" text. They detonate the entire connection to avoid the possibility of a future explosion. They protect themselves from the vulnerability of staying, of trusting, of weathering the small storms that all real relationships face. But in doing so, they guarantee they will always end up right where they started, alone, but convinced they dodged a bullet, never realizing they were the one holding the gun. These are three faces of the same fear, three different scripts for the same tragic play. Each one a desperate strategy to avoid being left, and each one, in its own way, paving the road to that very destination. So, if these behaviors, the constant seeking, the controlling, the preemptive striking, are so counterproductive, why do we do them? The answer, almost always, isn't in the present relationship. It's an echo from a time long ago. These patterns are not character flaws. They are survival strategies learned in childhood. Think about it. As a child, your very survival depends on the connection to your caregivers. If that connection feels unstable, unpredictable, or conditional, your brain learns a powerful and terrifying lesson. Love can disappear without warning, and you are not safe. This doesn't require overt trauma. It can be born from something as common as having a parent who was emotionally inconsistent, warm and loving one moment, then cold, distant, and overwhelmed the next. Or parents going through a difficult divorce where the child's world is fractured. Or even just a caregiver who was physically present but emotionally absent, lost in their own stress or depression. The child's brain doesn't understand nuance. It doesn't think, "Oh, mom is just stressed from work." It thinks, "The source of my safety and love is gone, and it must be my fault. I must do something to get it back." And so, the strategies are born. The child who learns that crying or pleading brings the caregiver back might grow into the reassurance seeker. The child who learns that being perfect or managing their parents' moods keeps the peace might grow into the controller, believing that if they can just manage everything, the environment will remain stable. And the child who experiences a profound loss or is repeatedly let down learns the most painful lesson of all. Don't rely on anyone. They become the preemptive striker, building a fortress around their heart because they learned that vulnerability only leads to pain. These aren't conscious decisions. They are deeply ingrained emotional blueprints for how relationships work. The original wound may be decades old, but the scar tissue still dictates how you move today. Here's why it feels so intensely real in the present moment. Your brain is wired for survival. That old part of your brain, the part that scans for threats, doesn't distinguish between the past and the present. When your partner needs a bit of space or is quiet after a long day, your conscious mind might know they're just tired. But that hyper-vigilant childhood part of your brain screams, "This is it. It's happening again. The withdrawal, the coldness, the disappearance." It misinterprets a neutral event as a direct replay of the original abandonment. That frantic text isn't about your partner. It's a desperate attempt to stop your 5-year-old self from feeling that terrifying sense of loss all over again. You're not reacting to the current situation. You're reacting to a ghost. This is the shadow side of these patterns. The reassurance seeker believes they are just showing how much they care, but the underlying energy is a demand. "Soothe my anxiety for me." The controller believes they are protecting the relationship, but they are actually building a prison, confusing attachment with ownership. The preemptive striker believes they are being strong and independent, but their strength is a shield for a profound terror of being seen and known, because to be known is to risk being rejected. Each strategy is a defense mechanism designed to protect a fragile sense of self. And that's the deepest truth of all. The fear of abandonment isn't just about being alone. It's about what the departure confirms. Deep down, the fear is that if someone leaves you, it proves a core belief you have about yourself, that you are fundamentally unlovable, that there is something wrong with you, something broken, and they finally saw it. The other person becomes the mirror in which you see your own worth. When they are present and affirming, the reflection is good. But if they turn away, the mirror goes dark, and you are left alone with the terrifying belief that you have no value on your own. This is why the need for validation is so insatiable. It's not just about losing a person. It's about losing the only proof you have that you are worthy of love. The healing journey, then, is not about learning how to keep someone from leaving. It's about learning how to stay with yourself. It's about learning to self-soothe, to be your own source of validation, to convince that child inside you that you are grown now, you are safe, and your worth is not up for debate. It's about building an internal foundation so strong that someone else's presence is a wonderful addition, not a structural necessity. So take a moment and think honestly. Do you see yourself in the anxious pleading of the reassurance seeker? In the subtle manipulations of the controller? Or in the lonely fortress of the preemptive striker? Which pattern do you recognize most in yourself? Understanding your strategy is the first, most powerful step toward changing the story. I'd really appreciate it if you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell.